Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and about a year ago this time, I made a video talking about golden packs changing everything in the arena economy, and that in my opinion it was the best thing they had ever done to improve the arena economy. And 1 year later, I'm no longer going to be able to say that. The introduction of the new play booster is going to be the new big thing on Arena. This really, once again, changes everything and is really going to change the way we have to think about building our collections on Arena. So today we are going to be talking about what to expect from these play boosters, why I think it's so good for the economy, what changes this is going to bring in our thinking over the course of the next year, as well as wrapping things up with a sampling of 34 individual golden packs being opened and looking at the data on that. They recently made some changes. There's been a lot of hubbub about the inclusion of Lord of the Rings, and today we're going to see how big a deal is that really. But before we get into all that, just a quick reminder that the Stronghold is producing content for you across a number of platforms. And Patreon has recently introduced an option where you can follow our content there without the need for any financial commitment. So even if you aren't ready to support the Stronghold is better positioned to support you. So you never miss out on a thing. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. So starting things off with a bit of another flashback. Back in May of 2023, I did a piece that, well, frankly, I was pretty proud of, talking about the implications of small sets and how we are likely to continue seeing these moving forward, probably with an increasing frequency. And long story short, the most important thing that I talked about in this video for today's discussion is how printing less commons and shifting resources towards higher rarity cards will ultimately drive sales and make Wizards of the Coast more profitable. And like I said, I felt really good about it. That is until last week when our boy Mero put a statement out on his Tumblr talking about how unlikely it is that we would see another epilogue set like Aftermath. And at that point I started working on a video about how this additional peek behind the curtain was changing my thinking and, well, it was probably going to be a bit of a backpedal and retraction. But before I could even get my thoughts together and put together that video, they have announced play boosters, and it turns out that my thinking was pretty on point and Aftermath failed for unrelated reasons, which I'll address in the doobly-doo down below rather than taking up video time. If anything, the biggest mistake that I made was I was not thinking big enough. So I think we need to give Mero an opportunity to kind of bring us up to speed on what these new play boosters are in what I can only describe as a tribute to teenage boys who were denied their Ritalin and tricked into doing a line of cocaine instead. How about you take it away, Mero?
Okay, so basically in my article yesterday, we are doing away. Draft boosters and set boosters, as of Murders at Karlov Manor, are going away. We're replacing them with a brand new thing called a play booster that has all of the fun of opening a set booster with all the playability of a draft booster. And today we'll go into the details of why we did that. In the article, I go in great. I talked about all the set. There's different slots in the booster. Do you want me to go into the slots in the booster?
Sure, briefly. We can put the graphic
up.
So
basically the way it works is there's slots 1 through 6 are a common, always a common. Slot 7 is most of the time a common, but every once in a while is a card from the list. We'll talk about the list in a little bit.
Yep.
Slots 8 through 10 are uncommon. Slot 11 is your rare mythic rare. Slot 12 is your basic land. Slot 13 is a non-foil wild card, meaning it could be anything, but it's always non-foil. And then slot 14 is the foil wild card. It could be anything, but it's foil. And then slot 15 is token art card. It's sort of a non-playable object slot.
All right, so quick recap for anyone that maybe wasn't able to follow all that. The basic takeaway here is they have removed 4 commons from a traditional draft booster, and in creating a new product have replaced those 4 slots, one with a dedicated land slot that will either be a basic land or a common basic for draft purposes. Not very exciting, I will admit. The other 3 slots, however, are what we can collectively refer to as wildcards. These could basically be nearly anything from the base set or be replaced by cards from subsets like the list, special guests. They did also say that bonus sheets are still a viable thing, and I suspect that we would see them used in a similar way. Mero was kind enough to give us specific numbers for changes to expected commons and uncommons in sets moving forward. Commons dropping down to 80 from 101, and uncommons catapulting from 80 to 100. He did not, however, give any indication for changes on rares and mythics, so I have assumed that there aren't any. When you chart this all out, we see the telltale signs of decreased costs there on the left and increased sales potentials in each of those curves on the center to right hand side of the screen. And for those that took the time to watch my aftermath response video, this is going to look very familiar. So now that we know the basics behind what a play booster is and what we can expect to see in it, let's wrap up some of the basics. First off, we appear to have dodged the recent alchemization trend on Arena. We have been given no indication or expectation that alchemy cards are going to be included in these play boosters, and I know that puts a lot of minds to ease. Ultimately, we'll have to see how this plays out, but there's no reason to think that the alchemization of Arena is being continued here. Next up, this change will not take effect right away, and in fact, it won't be introduced in paper or on Arena until the release of Murders at Karlov Manor. Or to put it another way, these new play boosters will have no impact on the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, slated to be released in November, or the re-release of Khans of Tarkir on Arena, which is expected sometime in December of this year. And to wrap up the basics, this change will only be reflected in packs that are used in limited events like sealed or the various draft archetypes. It will have no impact on what is collectively referred to as store packs, whether you buy them in the store or they are awarded through things like the Mastery Pass or free codes or things of that sort. Oh, and they did acknowledge that this change will mean that playing limited in paper, i.e. tabletop Magic, will cost a little bit more because these boosters are going to be slightly more expensive. But they did also indicate that they had no plans to change the arena cost of playing those limited events. Hopefully they stick to their guns on this and don't use this as an excuse to shake up the economy even more. And with all the basics out of the way, now let's start taking a deeper dive as to what all of this actually means for us budget players. Let's take a moment and review some of the baseline values of how you can spend gold on Arena. One of the basic metrics that I often refer to is the number of rares that you can expect to get for 1,000 gold. And starting with the lowest value on the right-hand side of your screen, of course, is buying a pack, where you can expect to get slightly more than one rare per pack, mostly because each pack credits your wild card wheel and gets you closer to earning rare and occasionally mythic wild cards. Moving on from there, we of course have golden packs with even the recent changes away from standard exclusivity and including some potential alchemy cards there, you're still getting a value of about 1.5 rares per 1,000 gold. Of course, golden packs have the drawback that they can only be earned essentially by buying the most recently released set. This is basically cut off for people that are looking to buy packs into older sets. They just can't get that added value. Moving on from there up the value chain is value drafting. And although it's similar to buying packs, that the floor is just slightly more than 1 rare per 1,000 gold, the ceiling is incredibly high. It is not hard in many cases to draft 5 or more rares in any given scenario, although the AI engine is certainly making that more difficult moving forward. There is also the issue of the uncommon values that you are picking up here at easily 50% to 300% of what you expect from a typical pack. And of course, the prior king of the hill here is the jump-in events, where you can expect to get slightly more than 2 rares per 1,000 gold. That, of course, being 1 rare in each of the 2 jump-in packs, and the slight chance of upgrade on the uncommon winning from the event. So how much value can we expect from these play boosters moving forward? Well, the simple fact of the matter is we just don't know yet, because they really haven't told us much about the drop rates for slots 13 and 14. That's 2 of the wildcard slots in the new pack. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is going to change from set to set, and we probably won't have exact figures on that until the set is actually released, if at all. For instance, they have not released the drop rates for the bonus sheet in the current Wilds of Eldraine pack, at least at the time of recording. We can, however, make some very educated guesses based on the way we have seen bonus sheets work in the past. Now, to state the obvious for a moment, in recent interviews, the leadership of Wizards of the Coast did throw out a rate of 1.4 rares per pack moving forward as the expecting value. And let's face it, these guys have access to perfect information, and there's no reason to doubt the validity of this number. That having been said, I'm sure they are basing this number on the quantities of cards with the rare and mythic attributes stamped on them. It does not take into account, more than likely, any commons or uncommons from the set that are effectively pretty rare, particularly to value drafters. When I apply a slightly more generous definition of a rare card and model it using that bonus sheet data that we have been collecting now for several years on Arena, the expected value from a play booster jumps up to about 2.3, 2.4 rares per 1,000 gold, or rares per pack, I guess I should say. That means that in a draft, you can expect to draft, on average, potentially, about 7 rares. And when you add in the store pack that you're awarded, or maybe 2 store packs with a slight chance of upgrade, you can expect to walk away from a value quick draft with 7, 8, possibly even 9 or so rares statistically. And that just puts it way ahead on value of even things like Jump In, and absolutely blows away the current Golden Pack model. And don't forget, value drafting gives you access to cards from between 5 and 8 different standard legal sets, and Golden Packs is limited to only the most recent. And as we get closer to the release of the Murders set, in February, we will have a much clearer idea of exactly what is included in the various potential slots of those packs, and we'll have a much better and clearer idea of what to expect value-wise and how that affects our planned budget. So be sure to tune in to that Murders budget perspective coming in probably early February. We did also get a interesting little clue, if you'll excuse the pun, about the included Murders set. We were told point blank that the land slot, which can typically include either basic lands or common dual lands, we were told that for the Murder set it would be exclusively basic lands. I don't expect that to be true for every single set, but for this one they told us that. And in so doing, they brought up a couple of interesting what ifs, what that might be telling us, since they're not including dual lands of the common rarity. It could mean that Murders is a monocolor matter set. We have been told, again, point blank, that this set was not going to be guilds based. It wasn't going to be built around the traditional two-color guilds. And my question is, what if they use a lot of those common and uncommon slots to create hybrid cards where in draft or sealed, you're basically have the potential to make a monocolor deck with maybe the occasional splash super powerful card into a second, maybe even third color. I think that could be very interesting and a high probability outcome. The other thing that might indicate to us is that they are using these expanded uncommon slots to do something that, frankly, I, as a speaker for the budget community, have been asking for a long time, and that is uncommon dual lands that don't have the same tempo impact as the common gain lands or the ones that they've been throwing at us for about 2 years. I think this would be very interesting design space, and they certainly have the room to do it here. Alright, so the remaining of the video, I want to talk about the issue of diminishing returns on the golden packs. I recently did a short talking about how a couple of slots in golden packs now could include Lord of the Rings, and what that might mean for someone who was more or less just a standard player, how many of those golden packs, rares, and mythics might potentially be lost to alchemy only cards. It's kind of hard to gauge this. Most people are opening 4, 5, maybe 6 golden packs in a typical season. But because of some factors, I had the opportunity to open 34 packs all at one time and really get some good empirical data on that large set and see how much of an issue this really is. So next up, I'm going to be opening the first grouping of those golden packs. Unfortunately, due to a recording error on my part, the second account's worth of golden packs was unfortunately just a voiceover of me talking over a non-moving spreadsheet because I messed up the linkage queues. So I don't have all of the video that I wanted to have here. And then finally, I'm going to take all of the data, including that from the lost video segments that I'm not able to show, to not only calculate the expected value of each rare per set and mythic per set, but what I actually saw in what I believe is probably the largest grouping of opening packs on YouTube as far as golden packs. So here we go. Alright, so this is going to be my first golden pack opening of the 2024 budget year. Let's drop 10 right about now. Let's see, how did we do? Wow, that is a lot of mythics. More than expected. Alright, so let's check these out. Alright, we've got Mishra from Brothers War. We've got Virtue of Strength, I like that, from the recent Wilds of Eldraine set. We've got Invasion of New Phyrexia. That's a first for me from Mom. Another Virtue of Strength. That might actually be a playset for me now. Agatha from Wilds of Eldraine. So really quite a lot of our mythics coming from Wilds of Eldraine. This is Aftermath, a Nahiri, also part of the new player experience, so really didn't need that one. But hey, we'll take what we can get. A Phyrexian Vindicator from, which one is that? I think that is Phyrexia All Will Be One. And Staff of Completion, who cares? And another Nisa, again from the new player experience, so actually glad to have another copy of that. Both of those, Nahiri and Nisa, are cards I would not have gotten if I had opened these prior to the rotational release of the new player experience. A couple legendaries there, Timeless Lotus, Will, Scion of Peace, and Rowan, cute little pairing there, both from the current Wilds of Eldraine. We've got Shauna from, which one was this? Dominari United. All Will Be One, a mythic from Phyrexia, All Will Be One. Solkar the Tainted, not the Swamp King anymore, he's tainted. Dominari United, and another Timeless Lotus. We got two of those. So let's move on to some rares here. Miglaws, again, a card that I would not have if not for the starter setup. Charmed Scoundrel from the current set. Death Ritualist, I believe that is a card that's in the new player experience. Caves of Clovis, always love to get a dual land. Temporal Firestorm. Extraordinary Journey from the current set. Agatha, Sanctum of Nature, sure, we'll take some of that. Another Lisa, again from new player experience. 20 Twins from the current set. The End, current set. Sharky, Tainted of the Shire. Okay, so we're seeing our first Lord of the Rings cards here, and I mean, for as many as we've opened, that is terrible, but let's hope that maybe mechanically they didn't just push all those to the end. There's a Mines of Moria, a card that I really don't mind owning. Elder Dragon War from Dominari United. Raging Battle Mouse from the current set. Song of Totentants, also from Wilds of Eldraine. Urkel, Master Wizard. Aragon, that makes 3 Lord of the Rings cards here. Temporal Firestorm, Dominari United. Fawn's Bane Troll from the current set. Archon of the Wild, also from the current set. Chaotic Transformation from Dominari United. Tanos from Brothers War. Malcator from Phyrexia All Will Be One. Urkel's Final Meditation, and Lauren, both from Brothers War. Shadowrite Priest from Dominaria United. Another Wilds of Eldraine card. I think we're just going to start moving through these a little bit faster here. Rare dual land. A first for Tazri from Brothers War. Somehow I didn't have one of those. Another dual land. Not that I'm saying that as a complaint. Misery Shadows, pretty good. Likeness Looter. Another Grafted Butcher from the new player experience. Rough Triplets, kind of excited about that. Gumdrop Poisoner. Mirex, and another Song of Totentants. Okay, pretty cool. Alright, so that leaves me 9 more to do on this account. We're just going to do them all together once again because I like this new setup. So in theory, we should have 9 mythic cards, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 17 mythics out of this. That is just unbelievably good. Atraxa, that is pretty nice. An Ashiok. I would have thought that was a first for this account. Let's see here. Phyrexian Flesh Forger, that's always a nice thing. Another Soul Conference, we're going to have a couple of those there. Karn Living Legacy, gotta love it. Another Kellen. I think I might have a playset of Kellen now. and another Sulknar, Realm Scorcher. That's a beauty. Shelbrid in the trenches. Another Flesh Forger. Pretty nice. I will take that. Cavalry, Roddy, and Vraska. So far on this account, not one of my mythics came from Lord of the Rings, and that's the way it's supposed to work. Unless one of your Lord of the Rings available packs gets upgraded to a mythic. Soul Partition, a Roddy Resurrected, another Iron Crag. That, I think, is at least 3 for me now. So way over what someone needs. Sleep Curse Fae, that should be a playset at this point. Over the top. Another Charming Scoundrel, that's at least 3 for me, I do believe. Evolved Spinoderm, Rankle, and Pollen Shield Hair, both from the new set. Gumdrop Poisoner, Golta. That's just such a fun card. Another Inga and a Sika for the parodies. Mosswood Dread Knight, there's one that I'm keeping my eye on. Regal Bunny Horn for the memes. You gotta love it. Another Fallen Bright Hair. Maybe Rabbit Decks turn into something. Dual Land, another Dread Knight. That might actually give me a playset there on the Dread Knights. And a Questing Beast. I would have thought that was my first, but apparently it's not. Another Gruff Triplets. Liking that. And let's see here. We're down to our final 8. Another Questing Beast. Or excuse me, Questing Druid. Kaya, nice. Dual Land, Kaya Nalar, that was actually on, well, I guess it wasn't on my shopping list since it's not showing its first, but at one point it was on my shopping list. King of the Oathbreakers, that's my first Lord of the Rings card in this burst, I believe. So we did pretty well on not getting a ton of Lord of the Rings cards, at least on this account. We'll see how the other account does here in just a moment, and an Ingenious Prodigy. So pretty nice overall.
When we take a look at the data I was able to collect, you can see here on the chart that I provided, the first highlighted column on the slightly left center side of the screen is the expected value broken down for rares and mythics by each individual set. And you'll notice that a lot of these within each category have the same expected value. That is based on the assumption that each set is equally likely to show up. The overall trend being that you expect to get more rares from the current set, in this case Wilds of Eldraine, and slightly less rares and mythics from the alchemy-based sets, because they only show up in 1/3 of the available slots. The other highlighted column on the right-hand side of the screen is my actual observation, and then the difference between my observed value and the expected value. And overall, what we found that kind of bucked expectations is we didn't receive as many rares from the current set as we expected, and that some of those shifted towards slightly under-collected older sets, in my case towards 1 and Dominaria United. That is overall good news. It means that golden packs inherently, because of pack protection, are going to work towards giving you more of what you need. In the pink highlighted bars in both the rares and mythics, you'll find the Lord of the Rings data. And what you'll see there is that despite that being a very under-collected set for me personally on all of the accounts that I ran this data from, I still came in slightly below the statistical expectations for both the rares and the mythics. And in fact, out of 204 potential rares and mythics out of these golden packs, I got only a total of 9 Lord of the Rings cards. So, hey, that's good news for those players that identify as primarily standard players and are not interested in alchemy. The flip side of that coin, of course, is if you are more of an alchemy player and maybe didn't collect all the Lord of the Rings that you really wanted, golden packs are not going to help you quite as much as you want them to. And that means you're probably going to have to invest some wild cards for those Lord of the Rings decks that you want. One surprising aspect here, and I think the drop rate on this actually must be much more generous than what they have advertised, is I got way more mythic upgrades than one would expect. For Wilds of Eldraine, you expected about 4% to walk away with mythics from that set. In my case, it was a little more than 10%. And that trend kind of continued across the board. Again, kind of gravitating towards one of the lesser developed sets for me, which was 1. We got more mythics there too. So all in all, I don't think the returns on golden packs are quite as diminishing as some people feared. I do think they continue to be a good source of rares and mythics for players, particularly a typical budget or free-to-play player that's probably only opening 4, 5, 6 golden packs per season. I think this remains a good attribute. But I do think overall that the new limited environments and the play boosters are going to significantly shift smart budget players more towards limited, particularly value quick drafting, and less purchasing of packs in the pursuit of golden packs. And before we go, I want to take just a moment to thank all of my patrons and remind the community when we hit just 10 patrons at any level, we will be rolling out Discord for the entire community, not just paid patrons. So if you have the means or mind to do so, consider supporting our community as it continues to grow. And of course, supporting the community by liking, commenting, subscribing, or sharing our videos is always appreciated. And you will appreciate subbing to the channel so you never miss out on a thing. And of course, we have some suggestions here on the next videos that you're going to want to check out.